Howdy howdy, fall is quickly closing in on us, and if you're a gardener, you most likely have a whole bunch of these guys right here. Zucchini are taking over your garden, maybe the only thing left in your garden. I've got a good recipe today to use up these zucchini and kind of an interesting take on a zucchini. If your neighbors and your relatives are sick of taking all of your extra garden stuff, you probably have a lot of zucchini. Not everyone's favorite vegetable, but we're gonna make some gnocchi out of this today. Typically you see gnocchi used out of potatoes, and it kind of makes a little pasta medallion thing, but zucchini can be used for gnocchi as well. Today we're gonna do that. The only ingredients we need to make this freeze-dried zucchini gnocchi: some zucchini, of course, some minced garlic, some oil or some broth to cook in. You're also gonna need some flour and a positive mental attitude. Let's get started. We're gonna take the ends off of the zucchini. I'm gonna leave my skins on. You do not have to, you can peel them if you want. I typically use the skins on anything, especially if it's garden produce, because there's a lot of benefits to leaving the skins on. These are gonna get blended up before we make the gnocchi anyway, so you will not even know that there were skins on before. It's not gonna alter the flavor or anything. Then we're gonna cut these into medallions. Lightly spray a frying pan with some oil. You can also use vegetable broth or any other kind of broth to cook our zucchini in. We want to keep this freeze dryer friendly, so low on the oil. We're going to heat that pan up. Once that pan has hit medium heat, we're going to add 2 zucchinis worth of medallions. We're going to cook those for about 2 minutes. After 2 minutes, add 1 teaspoon of minced garlic. You can also add a pinch of salt and pepper. We're going to cook these for about 8 minutes, let them cool for half an hour. Then we're going into the blender. You want these to be nice and tender, and then we're gonna let them cool for about 30 minutes. They need to be tender enough that when you put them through the blender, they will turn into a paste. We're looking for a nice, smooth texture. Try and avoid adding water if you can. Some blenders, and most blenders actually, you probably will have to add multiple zucchinis. I started in the pan with 2 zucchinis. I ended up adding 6 total to the blender just so I could get enough moisture in there to get it to end up like this. Now we're gonna add some flour slowly, about 1 tablespoon at a time, until we can get a workable dough. There's no magic amount of flour you're gonna need because there's gonna be a lot of variables in zucchini. However, if you start at about a cup or so per 2 zucchinis that you use, that'll kind of give you a good baseline, and then you can add slowly into there. It takes a little bit of flour to actually get this to thicken up like a dough. And I am not a huge fan of zucchini. However, you start cooking this with some garlic and you fry them, and the smell that's coming off this is pretty awesome. You can also use a stand mixer, which is what I'm trying to do. I have added about 7.5 cups of flour, I think. It's gonna have a pretty sticky texture to it even when it's ready. You're gonna wanna take a cutting board and add some flour to it. We're gonna make this so it doesn't stick, and our dough is gonna get rolled into rolls that we can cut into gnocchi size. So once this starts to stick together in one piece, you know you're either done or real close to done. You want it to be very dough-like, like a bread dough or a pizza dough. So you can tell when it's ready because it will have a very bread-like texture. You can knead this for a second. Make sure you get lots of flour incorporated in here so it doesn't stick to your hands. You're then gonna break just a little piece off. So just kind of roll it out to your desired size, and then you can cut these into your desired size also. These are actually ready to cook now. You can leave them just like this, or you can take a fork and put a little design in them like a traditional gnocchi would look, or you can do other little designs too. I'm gonna take this a step further and boil these, which means I'm gonna get a pot of water boiling right now. The reason I am cooking these first is, if you've watched the channel long enough, you know that I like to be able to rehydrate very quickly. So if you cook these before you freeze dry them, then all you have to do is actually just heat them in hot water and they're ready to eat. You don't have to boil water and actually cook them afterwards. So while we're waiting for our water to boil, I'm gonna put our gnocchi on a plate. I'm gonna do the rest of this whole pile of dough, and that should give us quite a few gnocchi. That was 6 zucchini, so you can kind of adjust the recipe to your needs. These are ready to go. The cool thing about gnocchi is they will actually tell you when they're fully cooked because they'll float to the surface. I still have a whole bunch of dough left, and I've already made probably 30 or 40 gnocchi. So expect quite a few. I used 6 zucchini. I think we can just go right onto the freeze dryer tray with these. So you can see these guys right here are floating. Those are done. They can go right onto the tray. Now that these are cooked, you can see they are very pasta-like. I did lots of different shapes and sizes. I'm gonna put a lid on these. We're gonna freeze them for about 24 hours. And I'm actually going to add some other kinds of gnocchi with them that you'll see in a future video. And here's our zucchini gnocchi. All of the gnocchi was pre-cooked and pre-frozen. Should speed up the batch quite a bit. You can find all of the gnocchi recipes that we've been freeze drying today at the freeze drying cookbook. You can find all of the accessories we've used in today's video and all the other videos that you have seen green accessories in at freezedryingsupplies.com. And our gnocchis are all done. Warm trays. You would imagine these would not take very long. They're very dry, they're full of flour, not a lot of water or moisture in them in the first place. There's our finished product. There's our small zucchini gnocchi, and then here are our larger zucchini gnocchi. I'm gonna rehydrate these next after I bag them up, and just for reference, I put some small ones and some large ones in there. I'm also gonna rehydrate some potato and some sweet potato gnocchi that I made. There'll be a video for the potato and for the sweet potato coming up shortly. And zucchini gnocchi. Time to rehydrate the sweet potato gnocchi, the regular potato gnocchi, and also we're gonna do our zucchini gnocchi that we did before. I just want to show you the difference in all of them. And no secrets to this, we're just gonna add some boiling water to it. You wanna make sure that those are floating so they have a chance to get fully submerged. These are pretty tough, so I think they might take a while to rehydrate, so give them plenty of time. And after much deliberation, I hate to do it, but I think I'm going to have to boil some water again because these are just taking a long time. They're very hard on the inside still, soft on the outside, so that should be better. Let's give both of these a try now. So let's give those a shot first. Those did perfect, and that turned out much better. There's the sweet potato gnocchi, nice and tender. Let's try the zucchini next. Zucchini gnocchi. I like those as well. Those actually all turned out great. I didn't know if all of them were gonna do as well. All of those would be great topped with a pesto, I think, or a white sauce, or even a red sauce. I think also what is very exciting about that is those are so dry and dense that they would store for a very long time. I'll leave it up to you whether or not you would want to cook them first. I think I would prefer cooking them even though they take about the same amount of time as they do if they were fresh cooked, like 2 or 3 minutes, as opposed to being cooked and then freeze dried. They still take about 2 to 3 minutes to rehydrate. I hope you learned something today. Remember to live life simple. We'll catch you next week. Happy freeze drying.